Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt
And
Roast.
I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our reaction and review for Duster Season 1, Episode 1. If you've never heard of this show before, it is a brand new drama that has premiered on, I don't know if this is called Max or HBO Max or Push It to the Max or whatever they're calling it these days, but that's where it is, and it's streaming there every single Thursday.
This show is so awesome. It has no business being as cool as it is. I feel like this show was made just for me. I mean, I'm not like the biggest car girly in the world, but damn, that car is fine. It is so cool watching all the fast cars and the driving and the music. I mean, if you're a fan of Quentin Tarantino, you're probably going to like this. It's really, set in a lot of the eras that he likes to play around with fast cars, cool guys, cute girls, great story. Like this show has it all.
Okay, I will come into this just saying from the get-go, I was pretty skeptical about Duster from a lot of this just comes down to the fact that I am the antithesis of a car guy. I don't really like cars. For those who don't know, like I'm legally blind. I can't see at all out of my right eye. And it's just like because of that, I'm always a little bit cynical or jaded towards cars. Maybe some of it's like inherent jealousy because I can't drive them. I don't know, but it's just usually this sort of stuff just turns me off and I'm just not into it at all. But I really like this show. It actually surpassed pretty much every expectation that I had, and it only took me maybe like 4 or 5 minutes watching this first episode before I was like, okay, I'm in. I don't know what the rest of this is going to be like, but I'm in. It was just so fun, like well directed, well written, very much understands what it is right away. And that's kind of rare for shows like this.
Yeah, I saw the trailer and I was like, this show is for me. Absolutely. Kind of like when Matt saw the trailer for Murderbot and he was like, this show was made just for me.
Yeah.
I was all in on it. I mean, it's J.J. Abrams. I love Lost. It's one of my favorite shows besides Vikings. It's like at my top. And then you have Josh Holloway on top of it, also Lost. I was just like, oh my goodness, the cars, everything. Great.
Yeah, there was obviously the Holloway factor that did very much intrigue me. I am a Lost fan as well, but the person who was number one atop anything and everything for me is, my guy, Keith David, of a million different things. Greenleaf, Community, Captain Anderson from Mass Effect. Like, this man is responsible for so many good memories in my life, and I was just so unbelievably happy to see him. Like, obviously, if it's not clear already, like, we love this show. One episode in, we're gonna do our best in this video to set the stage for everyone out there who is interested in checking it out and you haven't seen it yet. And then we're gonna get into, of course, what actually happened in this premiere, because it's pretty great and it's kind of obvious now that they're setting the stage for some epic stuff moving forward. So before we go further here, be sure to hit that subscribe button because we have so much great coverage coming here on the channel. Like, obviously, we are fully all in on Duster, but beyond that, we're in the midst of covering The Last of Us on HBO. Let's face it, you already have HBO/Max/Max, HBO/whatever. We are here with that show every week as well. And thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed. That really means a lot to us.
Absolutely. We also have Dexter that's going to be coming up really soon, Alien Earth. There's a lot of great stuff coming up here at the channel, so hit that subscribe button and stick with us. And also, over on our Patreon, as I mentioned, Murderbot, we are covering that over there exclusively. Is the only place you can get those reviews, along with Criminal Minds Evolution. So thank you so much to everyone who has joined our Patreon.
Thank you, guys. We very, very much appreciate that.
All right, revenge. I love revenge stories.
Yeah.
If you are new to the channel, it is like my favorite sort of genre of TV and movies. Really good revenge stories. Here we are with Duster that has set up this really solid revenge story where we have this FBI agent whose father was killed by your guy Keith David.
He's an angel. He would never kill
He's an
anyone.
angel. Who was killed by Saxon, and she's become an FBI agent, and she really wants this case because it's very personal to her
Yeah.
because he has killed her father who used to work for him. And now she's trying to turn Jim, who is the driver for Saxon, who has been driving for him since he's 16 years old. He's got to be in his 40s now at least. So it's been decades he's been with this guy. His brother has died in an explosion. But as it turns out, it looks like Saxon also killed his brother in the exact same way that this FBI agent, Nina, her father was also killed the exact same way.
It's really interesting because there are, I don't know, 2,000 shows out there that have the basic premise of law enforcement individual teams up with someone with a unique set of skills outside of law enforcement, whether it is a fake psychic, whether it is an actor who teaches them the world of, I mean, we've seen so many different various examples of this over the years, but I think what potentially makes it interesting here is this idea that Nina wants to work with Jim, who's basically a man on the inside within Saxton's operation. And it's this idea now. It's like, okay, well, number one, can she actually influence him to want to go along with this? And then number two, if he actually does, what does that dynamic work like? And because I think they define these characters and who they are really, really well pretty early on. Like you mentioned, Nina's on her drive for revenge. Like you see that pretty quickly, and you see sort of Jim in this life he's fallen into pretty quickly. So you would kind of understand his reservations for doing this. So they establish all that very, very fast. So it doesn't feel like we have to spend a lot of time like trying to figure out who these people are.
Yeah, they really showed us quite quickly in those first like 10 minutes when he's driving around with Luna to get this heart for Saxon's son Royce. That to the point that he's even in the operating room helping keep the heart alive, helping keep Saxon's son alive. Jim is so deep in with Saxon that he's basically family, that he's helping save, his son's life. Like they are so deep in with each other that even when Nina first shows up to Jim and is like, oh yeah, I'm FBI, I could do this to you. I could do this to Luna. And his reaction is, well, I guess I'm just going to grab a passport and go and work for Mad Raoul for a little while here until things cool down. And then I can come back and deal with things with Saxon. And he'll know, obviously, I'll tell him tonight. His reaction was just like, I'll just get out until it cools down a little bit for him. There was no hesitation.
Yeah, this is clearly a guy who, yeah, he's been a part of Saxon's operation, but he's also kind of had in his brain, okay, if there's a backup plan I need, this is my backup plan. Like it feels like he's methodical enough that he's thought up a lot of different possibilities. Things could happen to him while he's on the job, and he kind of knows how to ebb and flow with a lot of this. But I think the real reason why Jim works to me as an accessible character from the get-go, it does all come down to Holloway. And I really like Josh. Like I love Lost. I mean, I don't know if anybody loves Lost as much as you do, but like he's such a really interesting actor who, for whatever reason, I know he had that little stint on Yellowstone. It just feels like he kind of disappeared into the abyss for a while, and that's kind of disappointing because he is so good at this sort of role. He just has this charm that oozes out of him where it's like, you don't want to believe in a lot of the characters that he plays because they're often confidence men or they are dangerous, but it's just like you can't help but want to watch him. He just has that like innate quality that I don't think a lot of actors have.
Yeah, he's so good at playing like the super bad guy, but has this soft spot for certain things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he played that with Sawyer really well. He's playing that with Jim really well. I think the problem is just with Lost because it was such an iconic show that so many of the actors got stuck where, Josh is Sawyer forever. I see him as like, oh, it's Sawyer. And it's tough when you're part of something that is so iconic like that to be able to move into other things like, Harold was Michael for so long and now he's over on From being Boyd and he has totally broken free of that mold. But a lot of actors can't, it's just you're kind of stuck in that.
Yeah, but I think what's working here is that, yeah, it's a role that's similar in some ways to Sawyer. I don't think we can pretend otherwise,
It
but
is.
I think that there's going to be enough over time that differentiates it. And I think for Josh, working obviously with J.J. Abrams again is a nice
Hmm.
feather in his cap because he
Yeah.
knows what Josh is really, really good at. And so we have this foundation, but we also see both the danger and the softer side to Jim because I think it's pretty clear he cares about Luna and I think he cares about his family. And I think there's a lot there that could be unpacked over time.
Yeah, he does. But getting into Nina, I mean, she's a really interesting character because she is the first FBI agent that is black. She is struggling with a lot of the, difficulties that she's going to deal with, that where people don't want her at this office, they don't want her at this office. Oh, we're stuck with you. Okay, fine. Yeah, you've asked for this case, which
Mhm.
is quite bold of anyone who's been out of training for 2 days and
Yeah.
you're already asking for a case. We're going to give it to you, not because you asked for it, but because we have nobody else to put on it. Nobody wants to deal with it. Everybody that's been on it seems to just go missing.
Yeah.
So sure, you want to go on this case, you go on this case. But she is so smart and is able to thread things together so fast that it feels like it's less about her training and just more about her as a person, that she is able to just naturally thread things together so quickly. Yeah, she got a little bit of help from Jim's stepmother who just doesn't like him and turns some things in, but most of it was through Nina finding the threads to put things together.
Yeah, and I wonder with her, like, how much of this just stems from her being an underdog, like her being a black woman in a lot of spaces where there aren't always black women. And I think she's
Right.
probably sort of grown up with this mindset of like, okay, anything I want in life, I just got to go in there and take it. And I have to work harder, faster, more efficient than almost everybody. I mean, you look at these other people in this FBI office. I mean, you have Awan, who is another underdog and somebody
Yeah.
she can relate to. But then you've got a lot of guys who just seem like they're lazy, they're all kind of falling into a certain amount of stereotypes, or they're just jaded and they're just like, we'll do the job, but we'll do the job under our own terms. And she's really hyper ambitious. Like, obviously, it helps when you have a revenge motive and you're kind of like, okay, I really want to get the ball rolling here, but
Yeah.
I like her and I hope that Duster does not fall into the trap where, okay, let's just call it the Liz Keane effect here because we love the Blacklist. We watched that for many years, but I think the problem is when you have a charismatic but also criminal enterprise dude who's working with the agent, we
Yeah.
always want to see more of the criminal and we never want to see as much of the agent. I hope that they can find that balance so that Nina does just not end up frustrating a lot of viewers, especially if we're spending a lot of time with her.
Yeah, the thing that I wish that the show had done a bit differently is that they weren't able, like, that Nina wasn't able to turn Jim in the first episode because she was able to do that, where, she ends up getting this videotape to be able to show Jim that, yeah, there was a van explosion and yeah, his brother died in it, but that the charge was underneath the van and not inside the van the way that, it was explained to him that this is it was not true. And while Jim is kind of like, okay, I'll sign this, but I'm doing this just to prove that Saxon didn't do this, I was kind of like, well, you don't need to sign this to prove that Saxon didn't do this. You can just prove that Saxon didn't do this without signing this. And because they had established how deep in Jim is with Saxon, where he's like actually pumping his son's heart during a surgery to make sure that his child lives. Like, they have been together for decades. He's willing to go and take a blood oath to work for Mad Raoul to be able to like help Saxon, that this one video is enough for him to kind of be like, okay, I'll sign this just to prove that Saxon didn't do it. I feel like it should have taken longer. I know it's a shorter season. There's only like whatever, 8 episodes, but
Yeah.
they could have given it 2 episodes, the end of the next episode, that he's like, all right, you know what? I'm going to do this.
Yeah, I think this is just the part of Duster where they suffered from a case of pilotitis. And this is a very rare ailment, which we have just now coined, which is okay, we need to establish the entire premise of the show within the pilot. And then that way
Right.
everybody knows what to expect from here on out. You are correct. It should have taken a little bit longer, especially because to me, like, I think a lot of this is Jim, that Nina's gotten in his head a little bit about this, and I think
Yes.
he does need to see a lot of this through. I think it's pretty easy for all of us to be like, okay, Saxon did want to do something here to Joseph, his brother. Like something terrible did happen here, and then we're gonna move into Jim with his own sort of revenge journey, and that's gonna make this show really, really compelling. But it's like that
Yeah.
stuff that could have like unraveled a little bit more over time.
Yeah, because it seemed a lot like the whole moment that switched it around is when he went to go tell Saxon that he's going to work for Mad Raoul for a little while, that there's FBI on his tail, so he's gonna get away and cool it out for a little while. That then we have this situation where, there's this other thing that's going on where Saxon's kind of like, oh, we should have just killed that person. It would have been easier just to kill them. It's kind of like, is this the first time that Jim has ever heard him say we should have just killed somebody? Because like earlier in this, he's out there with Billy with this guy with a baseball bat, taking care of somebody who's like, thank you, Billy. Thank you for coming over here and, tuning me up outside with this baseball bat. And it feels like Jim knows that this is part of the business, so it shouldn't have been that kind of shocking to hear Saxon say, oh, it would have been just easier to kill him. It's kind of like, you've been around for decades.
Yeah, this just seems to be in this guy's DNA. And I don't know, you got to tell yourself whatever you got to tell yourself, I guess, to get through the day. But it's just like, deep down, what is there, Jim? Are you just jaded? Is it just hollow? Like, yeah, I guess there's still time to explore some of that, but I'm curious with him.
Yeah.
Now, okay, a couple of things that I just absolutely adored about this episode. Number one, Mad Raoul has to be a top five name for a crime boss that we have. This is like after Mad Raoul, are you going to go to Moneybags Jones or like some? It's just a perfect. The writing in this episode, it's like none of it's altogether the most surprising thing ever. Like some of it's a little bit pulpy, but that's kind of the fun of this
Yes.
show where it's got a little bit of depth to it, but at the same time, it does just feel like you're watching one of those like old school crime capers that could have aired decades ago. And it's really just embracing it and it's not trying to run from it. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I absolutely love that they are embracing it the way that they are. This, like I said, this show was made for me. It is very pulpy.
Yeah, and now we also have the entire family situation with Jim. Like, this is so complicated, I don't even know where to start. So we have Luna on one side, who he seems to have, almost a fatherly relationship to in some ways, or at least like a part-time dad. He's trying to like really be there for her and be some. So there's like all that going on, and then we have Jim's father, who by Corbin Burnson is number one on the list of I am going to play every television father known to mankind. Like he was a father on The Resident, he was a father on Psych. He is always somebody's dad, and almost always he is someone's dirtbag dad. And I could watch an hour of Jim, his father, and his stepmother, who is a total disaster. And it's like all of this. It felt real, and that's really important, especially with somebody like Corbin, who I've just had a decades-long history with.
I'm very curious what the history between Jim and his stepmother Charlotte really is. Like, why does she hate him the way that she does? What is that relationship?
I don't know. I don't know if this is just maybe he's trying to get Corbin Burnson to clean up his act a little bit, and she's just like, no, 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 I want to live in the mud with this dude. Or maybe it's just, it doesn't feel, and just tinfoil hat to me,
Mhm.
it doesn't feel like she is being the moral authority over Jim and the life that he is living. And so it's like, I don't think it's that she disapproves of his job, but
No.
they're all dirtbags. This is just like dirtbag central. And that's, a part of the fun. And I think because of that, it could be almost anything with this woman. She may just not like the cut of his jib. It's just like, I just don't know.
Yeah, I'm very curious if the show is going to reveal at some point what it is. Like, did she try to get with Jim and Jim was like, no, you're with my dad, and she's held it against him and he knows the secret? Like, what is it that she is willing to call the FBI and just give him up like that?
Yeah, I mean the best thing about this show is really the criticisms that we have coming out of the pilot are pretty limited. Like the biggest issue I have is the one that you've already laid out, which is comes to how fast sort of this relationship between Jim and Nina was really established because it's just like elsewhere, there's not a lot of pilots that are this confident one episode in when
Yeah.
it comes to what they are. And I don't know if this is the just a cause of the way that Max is doing development at this point because I know this is a very different show than The Pit, but you look at The Pit earlier this year too, and it's like here's another show on this same service that really knew what it was from the get-go. And so it's like kudos to you guys for getting on a little bit of a winning streak here.
I just wish that they were promoting this show more. It was kind of like the same thing with The Pit. Like we
Yeah.
knew it was coming and we felt like it was going to be good and it was really good. It was surprisingly amazing. I am not really into medical dramas, but this was just outstanding and it gained steam as the season went on. And
Yeah.
here we are with Duster, where it's had a couple of really good trailers out there, and nobody else is really talking about it. And then this premiere comes out, and it's so good. Yeah, there's a tiny bit of criticism. I wish there was more episodes. I wish,
Yeah, of course.
it took a little bit longer to get there where Jim turned, but at the same time, this pilot was great, and I just wish that they were putting more money into promotion. It just feels a lot like they're kind of like, well, we're Max. Everybody's going to have us. And if you have it, you're going to see it and you're going to watch it anyway. So we don't really have to put money towards anything. It's like, guys, I think you have a hit here.
Yeah, it really feels like they are hoping that the same thing happens here that happened with The Pit, which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, we covered that on our Patreon. We have that link in the description, but it's just like where The Pit really seemed to spread via word of mouth by people being like, oh, this show is so good, you need to watch it. And then as the season went on,
Breaking Bad style.
yeah, it like built and built. But the advantage that The Pit had was that that show had a lot more episodes than Duster. It was like a 15-hour shift for Dr. Robbie. We're talking about an 8-episode arc here. So
Yeah.
my hope, best case scenario, is that a lot of network shows are going off the air right now. May Sweeps is coming to an end. That people are going to be looking for that next big thing, especially over Memorial Day into June, a quieter month of TV. It's just that this is really worth checking out. And it's just really, really fun and escapist. And it feels, at least to me, like there's going to be a lot of meat on the bone for us to be able to talk about over the course of a season with theories and discussions. And like that's our bread and butter. Like that's the stuff we love.
Absolutely. I mean, this show has it all. It's got revenge. It's got the Lost feel because it's got J.J. Abrams behind it. It's got a Quentin Tarantino film with feel with fast cars and cute girls and great revenge stories. Like it has everything.
Yeah. So please, if you have watched this entire video and haven't seen the show yet,
Oh, check it out.
Yeah,
It's
check it
worth
out.
your time.
Yeah, we really, really are excited about it and interested to see where it goes. So let us know if you have watched Duster. Like, what did you think about the premiere? Where do you think this is going? And yeah, hit that subscribe button for more coverage and support us further by joining our Patreon. That link is in the description. We're covering there exclusively right now Criminal Minds, Evolution, my beloved murder bot, and we will see you here next time.